Well, good afternoon, good evening, my friends. I hope I just didn't need to pay for your therapy with my excellent Halloween costume this evening. But let me tell you, this actually did require quite a bit of thought, a lot of makeup. And at the end of the day, I'm not quite sure what it is, but that's okay. We'll go with like a Nordic witch, demon seductress. I don't know what you want to call it. You could give me some ideas in chat besides, well, anyway, you know how it is. But this is our, and welcome everybody in chat. It's always nice to get into chat and to see friendly faces from all over the world. I love you guys. You guys are the reason that I'm here. I have such a good time, and I've missed Scott over the past couple weeks. Make sure that you get in and like and subscribe, share the information, because you know that I am very, very passionate about history, about getting good information, and trying to have a little fun in between all of the Skinwalker Ranch goings-ons. But, it's just never a dull moment. So this week earlier, I had the pleasure of being on Steve Cambrian's show, which was a ton of fun, lots of good questions. It's always interesting to be interviewed instead of interviewing people, but tonight we are just going to have fun. I'm going to be posting stuff in chat. And so if you guys want to, for links to the show, so call in if you've got like any creepy ghost stories. I would love a night of just creepy ghost stories. Sometimes I get a little sick of UFOs. How about you, Scott? What do you think?
Absolutely.
So what's up in your world?
How's it going?
Good. I like your face. I told you it looked cute before we came on, but then I had to rephrase that because I don't think the devil is actually supposed to be cute. But
Yeah, well, I guess it's kind of a purge mask thing from the movie or something. I don't know.
I like it. What have you been doing for the Halloween season? Have you watched any creepy movies? Anything good?
Yeah, I watched a couple. Not really anything to speak of, but I try to look for independent films to watch, and I'll probably be watching a couple more tomorrow, maybe tomorrow night. So we'll see what happens.
What are you gonna watch, do you think?
Um, well, I just watched this one. It was uh it was a Russian film with subtitles, and I got halfway through it and I had to shut it off. I can't even remember the title because it sucked.
Do you know what
But
I hate? It's like when you watch a movie with subtitles and you realize you're actually watching them in English.
yes,
Like, wow, how long did that take me to figure out? Oh, an
and
hour.
I've
Awkward.
I've done that. I've done that.
Well, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I've been watching a ton of Norwegian TV series, creepy TV shows lately, and I like that. It's refreshing to see something not here. But
Right, right.
I always love watching Stanley Kubrick's, I'm a big fan of The Shining and Rosemary's Baby. Of course, we've seen that a million times. The Exorcist, The Omen. The Omen, actually, all of the Omens are some of my favorite movies.
I loved those growing up as a kid. All those films.
Yeah, I know I did too. And Blair Witch. What did you think of Blair Witch?
I was really intrigued by it, and I was kind of a little bit disturbed when I found out that it wasn't really a true story.
You were
But it was,
disturbed because you found out it
I
wasn't a
mean,
true story?
well, I mean, the way, the way they pulled it off and made people believe that it was based on, true story it was genius, genius.
That wasn't. I think that was one of the first times they tried marketing like that. If I'm not mistaken. And I remember being in a theater and watching, that whole shaky cam, which would drive me insane now that
Yeah,
I'm a little bit older. But then the very end when they're coming down the stairs and you just see, the girl standing in the corner or the guy, whatever it is, it's been so long, but it was just, that really bothered me. And I will say that I slept with the lights on for a couple nights. I shouldn't be admitting that in public, but that's okay. I will.
hold on 1 second. I'm gonna fix my mask. I'm gonna take it off.
Uh-oh. Hey, Marcin. Hey, Simon. Dave. Nice to see you guys all here. Jim and Shadowy Spectrums, thanks for hanging with us and I have to tell you that like this week I've had a kind of a nice week where I've not focused so much on UFO stuff. Well, who am I kidding? Did a little bit more on Skinwalker Ranch, but that's a never-ending journey unfolding. But oh,
Yeah, the
that's
mask was getting uncomfortable over the scar tissue, so
you know what? You hide that so well usually, but and thanks for doing that most
it, it,
Fridays.
it's a, it's a lot of makeup.
Well, it looks good though. I mean, it doesn't look good. You look frightening, but so I've got to tell you, for me, I've always loved the paranormal. And I think a lot of people who get into the UFO topic have an interest in the paranormal because who knows where one line, one thing leaves off and another one comes into play. And so what do you remember as a child? Did you have anything that you were interested in as far as ghosts and goblins or demons or
I think for the first time for me, when I was, and this is a very vivid memory for me, when I was 11 years old, um, my mother had an interest in horror films, and she worked second shift, and it was probably about she was maybe 10 minutes away from our house, and I'm happened to be flipping through the old TV guide. Remember the TV
oh
guide?
yeah, I love that.
And I see that at 11 o'clock, Night of the Living Dead, the original, is coming on TV, and I had never seen it before. So she got in about maybe 10 after 11, and I already had it on. And that movie kind of launched me into, getting into special effects and trying to figure out how they pulled it off, and huge interest in sci-fi and horror films. And it was just like absolutely eye opening. At the same time, wondering about, you know, stories that people claimed were real, you know, and reading ghost stories and telling old tales around the fire or whatever. And, I was always super interested in that stuff.
See, and I mean, I always love that too. I mean, I always talk about like how I picked up my first UFO book on in the grade school and things, but I loved, researching all sorts of other things as well and the paranormal and all of that. And I actually spent a considerable amount of my, from 18 to, oh my gosh, my mid 30s going all over to different haunted houses. And
Wow.
one night, and I'm sure some of you guys have heard this before, but that's too bad. I'm going to tell you again. But this was about maybe 10, 12 years ago. I decided that I wanted to go to the Whaley House, which is in Old Town San Diego. And it is a place where they used to have hearings and they would hang people in the courtyard. And of course, it is supposed to be the most haunted house in America, which I think, there are several others that fit the bill depending on how much tourism you want to bring in. But I had my best friend and her husband, who was a fighter pilot, living down there then. And so I went and stayed. And actually, I rented the house out, which is pretty unheard of because they won't do that anymore. And
Wow.
so, yeah, we rented the whole thing out at night, and the tour guide, showed us around, and then, turned out the lights, locked the door, and just said, "Good luck, have fun."
Wow.
And I mean, we had a blast, and, it was just so cool and creepy, and whether your, imagination takes hold of you because you're in this haunted location and things, I mean, it just was it was crazy, but my girlfriend, my best friend, Christine, she was up in the bedroom, and they don't let anybody in there, they've got it all glassed off now, but she was in the bedroom, and she was looking at a night table, and she said that she felt somebody, and I've got her on videotape, like reaching into her back pocket and pulling out the paper that she had in her back pocket. And I mean, she jumped, and she didn't believe in any of this. She was just, and maybe it was just the mood and something was happening, but to this day she still is just like, what was that? What happened? It really freaked her out.
Yeah,
So
we've I mean, I had stuff that I remember, the incident that just happened to me like 3 years ago with something startling me awake in the middle of the night, and I sat up in the bed and I swung my legs over the side and I stood up and just began to automatically walk towards the door. Must have been 3 in the morning, and there was this large shadow shape, like, moving in front of me, kind of moving away from me as I was walking towards it, and, it moved out into the hallway, and I followed, and the moonlight was creating the shape of the window on the wall, and when this large thing, whatever it was, passed in front of that, it blocked it out for a second, and all the hair stood up on my neck, and I was like, "What the hell is that?" And so I automatically started to rationalize, well, maybe it's branches in front of the moon. And I looked out the window and there's no branches. Then I thought, well, it's one of my kids. They're out of bed, going to the bathroom. Checked on them both. They're both sound asleep. Um, so it freaked me out. I mean, I don't know what it was. I clearly saw it with my eyes, and it seemed as though it was near me, and it startled me awake. And it just
Wow.
really, really, it scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, that would scare the crap out of you. I mean, it doesn't sound like you're having some sort of hypnagogic, episode or anything. I mean, that sounds, yeah, you were awake, your feet were on the floor.
Yeah, I
That must
mean,
have
and
been
I thought the thought came to me after that that, maybe somebody's in the house. So I instantly went down the stairs, patrolled through the whole house, made sure the doors were locked, nothing there. So I don't know. Very strange.
well, yeah, it is interesting. I lived in a house that I believed was haunted, back when I was in my late 20s, and it was an interesting experience. It was next to an old polygamist compound, and the
Huh.
house was built in 1907. And the stories that we had there, all of us, and it wasn't just me. I started seeing things that I couldn't explain, and my husband at the time was working late at night, and I mean, things would come off the shelf. I would go into the bathroom and the toilet lid and seat would be up. I mean, just like, which, I'm the only one there, and whatever. It was just little odd things like that. And
Yeah.
one night I came home and I said, I was watching TV, and then I walked through the living room to go to bed, and I saw a man leaning against the kitchen counter, and I thought that was my husband. And so when I went to bed, he was in there sleeping, and I was obviously startled, and so I shook him and asked him if, I mean, I just said, "There's okay, what's going on? I've been seeing some things around the house that just freaked me out." And he said, "I have been seeing the same thing. I've been seeing a man dressed in a certain way around the house for a few months since we bought it, but I wanted you to verify that first before I told you anything." And so, I mean, it was just one of those, things, and it was just a fun. I never got a bad vibe about anything. It was just really fun, um, for me, but and for everybody. So I don't know, just one of those things. And hey, Matt, nice to see you, and Grandmaster, and Steve's Aquatics. It's just fun to see you guys in chat. But while we talk about not UFOs, praise the Lord. But so yeah, I also when I was in, oh my gosh, maybe my mid 30s, I had to go over to England to do some to certify some Pilates teachers to teach.
Mhm.
And so I decided, because at that time I was studying, all the haunted castles in Europe, and just looking into the lore. And so I told my girlfriends, I'm like, okay, when, you're coming over with me, and we're going to stay here and here and here. And so we went over to Ireland, stayed in Kennedy Castle, and then we went to Lep Castle and got a private tour. And it
Wow.
was so cool because Lep Castle is, again, one of Ireland's most haunted castles, but it's a private residence. And so we actually had somebody that knew the fellow that owned it, Sean Ryan, and he called Sean and said, "Hey, this group of people, they would love to come and visit the castle." And so we were there, and I mean, you just look at this incredible castle tucked up against the rolling hills, the green hills and the big fluffy clouds, and there are a little bit of the castle that's in decay, and you go in and you're greeted with this wonderful man with this red beard and a cute little hat and a plaid shirt and just everything you would think about when you think of Ireland. And he invited us in, and he had a fire in the fireplace, and we started talking, and he told us a few of the stories about the castle. But then I started talking to him, and he's asked about what we did, and I found out he was one of the world's best tin whistle players. And his daughter was a renowned Irish dancer, and I told him that I was a musician as well. And so he got on the phone and called up his friend Bob from down the road, down the lane. And
Down the
so down the lane, and so Bob comes, trundling up, and we sit next to the hearth, and he breaks out the piano, and Sean is playing the tin whistle, and I'm singing Moon Dance.
nice.
And I mean, it was just like you couldn't. How does a memory get any better than that? You're in a Lep Castle with these two incredible musicians. You're singing Van Morrison by a fire.
Nice.
I mean, it was such a cool experience, and I think even above and beyond any of the headless priest that was seen up in the chapel, which was up on the top floor, and bodies that were thrown into the oubliette and all these things. I mean, that was just so trivial compared to singing Moon Dance in front of a fire at Lep
Yeah,
Castle.
yeah. It sounds amazing.
That was so cool. I don't know. I love those. It's like the little experiences. And I think, for me, you and I have talked about some of the adventures that we've gone on. And for me, it's like, I mean, I love UFOs. I love the history. I'm having such a good time sometimes doing this. But I think it's the personal experiences that you have when you go, into somebody else's territory, and you hear a story from themselves, and they're sharing a little bit of their history and perhaps being a little bit vulnerable. And it's a really, really, really cool thing to
Yeah.
have that opportunity. It's like that one of I don't know, one of a it was a very special. All these moments are special, just like for you.
A few years ago, well, actually, it was many years ago, um, I had gone to one of Ed and Lorraine Warren's uh, talks that they gave, and they gave a slideshow, and they went through some of their most famous cases, and they invited me back to their house with my
Wow.
wife at the time, and we took us through their little museum that they had with all the different artifacts from different cases. And they were just amazing people, super warm, really friendly. And, you know, they showed me some crazy stuff. Like, just, they had this one photograph that had a streak of light through it. And it was taken by a man who was redoing all the paneling in this apartment.
Hmm.
And after he was done, he wanted to photograph what he had done. So he took a bunch of sequence of photographs. And in one, there was a streak of light, which could be anything, right?
Hmm.
And I guess they had blown it up and looked at it, and it just freaked him out. And they got a hold of Ed and Lorraine Warren, and they did a blow up. And in the lecture, they show the light streak as they blow it up, and there were rows and rows of Civil War soldiers inside the light streak.
Wow.
And so they tried to trace it back to an actual photo that existed. And apparently they could not find anything to match it. And it was just all Civil War soldiers. It was so weird. It was the weirdest thing.
Wow. And I have to ask you, did she have her bow in her hair?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
With it
All
all
right.
with it all done up high with her
Yes.
beehive.
They were an interesting couple, that's
They
for
were.
sure. And
They
I
were.
mean, they're definitely, quite a bit of controversy
Yeah.
surrounding them as well. But yeah, I mean, they're very fascinating reading the Amityville horror and looking into some of their investigations. That was quite interesting. And not Charles, I can see that you've got your costume behind you, and I'm not letting you on until you put your costume on. I'm just saying. I'm just kind of naughty that way. Come on. I know you've got it there. What's your little costume got you? Thank you. Okay. Because if I'm looking like this, you guys are putting your costumes on too. So, and Peter, I don't know what you've got going on. We're gonna have Peter Shelley here while not Charles gets his costume on. So, Peter Shelley, I'm not seeing you on video.
He's got his mic muted and his camera off.
Okay, well, he'll be there soon while we wait for not Charles. But anyway, I want to thank all of you guys again for getting into chat, for being here. And, just, yeah, I'm not kidding, Charles, about your costume, but I love, again, I'm so happy just to talk and share experiences and all of this stuff. For, as you know, I think for most of you who follow me, my work specifically with Skinwalker Ranch and some of the people involved over the past few years has been pretty heavy and very negative. And so it's nice just to have a fun night, talk about things that make you question life and remember good stories. And I don't know. I just think it's really cool. So
Fun
anyway,
time, fun
yeah,
time.
I know it is. And so, like, I mean, you're not, do you guys, I gotta ask you, because I'm in Utah, and so we celebrate Halloween on Saturday here. Well, and the kids are kind of confused. Saturday, Sunday.
Ours is on Sunday.
Oh, welcome to not Utah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So not Charles is getting his costume on. And so Scott, what do you think? I've got to ask you this, and I've got to kind of border or go back to the UFO subject, but what do you think about the fact that some people are, they bring in the angels and the demons to the UFO subject?
I think that's always going to be something that exists with it. It's, to me, when I see people do that, it's they're reaching for something that sounds rational to them. And so it's almost like they're forcing their own label upon it because they're so confused by it. So, and again, I mean, we could go back to the actual word angels and demons, which is, a man-made thing. It's a label that's been put on a ton of things. But that's very common throughout ufology, where people are, constantly, you'll see some experiencers have some experiences and they automatically drift right over to the side. It was, that this heavenly woman and these heavenly beings. And, you know, it's super common. I mean, I don't know. I guess you would have to be somewhat religious to lean in that direction. I mean, because if you're not really religious, it's not going to come up.
Well, and I think it's interesting. I mean, in MUFON, there's a particular chapter down in Florida, and the people that were heads of the chapter were very much going down that rabbit hole. And I think much to, the detriment of the subject. I mean, I don't, great, you've got your belief system, but at the end of the day, you're supposed to be a scientific organization. So why are you inserting that narrative in
Yeah.
there? And again, telling people you're having a demonic experience, you're having, A, B, C, and D. I think it's just very, oh, thanks, Jim. And if you guys in chat can tell me what I am, I'd be really excited, because I think I missed it. I was going for a whole lot of things. In fact, yesterday I was practicing my makeup, and I actually was trying to do Cleopatra, and I ended up looking like a Vulcan. And I mean, I'm just like, how does this happen? How does this happen? I don't know. Maybe it's my sharp features. Who knows what was going on? My heavy hand with the eyebrows. Who knows? It was a little special. So, But I have to tell you, this is the first year that I have not had a Halloween party. Well, actually, the second year because we had COVID last year. But every year since I was 16, I have had a huge, huge Halloween party where, I mean, we've had, I remember one year I was dressed as the, kind of sexy cop. This was back in the younger days when I could, really pull that off. And we had people out the door, and I had one of my friends who was a psychic reader there, and these two guys, pretty cute guys come in and in cop uniforms. And of course, I'm just like, you look so great. Your costume is so realistic. And they're like, no, we are the cops. And we got called to come check out the party. And I'm, well, okay, sweet. But they
Wow.
ended up staying for quite some time. I mean, they were just like, this is the funnest call we've been on all night. So we'll just stick around for a minute. It was really fun. But
Wow.
and I always too, I love, I have so many diverse friends and clients, but um, I make people, this is me being naughty, but I seriously make people like about 10, 11 o'clock at night do the Soul Train dance off. And so do you remember like Soul Train at all?
Oh yes. Oh
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Yeah, yeah, and, I mean, it was so much fun, because people are just like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" I'm like, "No, you're lining up now, and you're gonna bust a little move down the aisle, and we're gonna see what's happening with your sassy pants." And, I mean, by,
You're
couple time oh my I was surprised at some of the moves we had going on. Oh, yeah. Oh, and the gnome. I'm so sorry, Steve, I should have been the gnome. And one of these days, with a therapist on hand and a good bottle of tequila, I will recreate the gnome. That would have been cute. But so now we've got, finally, thank you for wearing your costume. That is,
nice. Nice.
and remind us what you are. Nosy bonks. Okay,
Nosy bunks.
that's good and quite frightening, actually. Especially, do you go down to the middle of the market and scare the small children? Jump out of bushes? Ah, woo. You sound like some security guards I once knew. Interesting. Except you have a better costume. Just kidding.
Wow.
I know, that's really cute. Okay, you can take your costume off. Thank you for, because I know you can't speak, can you? Unless you just want to do mime jazz hands all night. Okay, exactly. Oh, your what? Your microphone? Your camera? I am clearly not. Oh, yeah. Your mime. It's not working. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Oy vey. What are you saying? Nosy bunks. I don't know. Yeah, yeah. I. Okay. Well, sounds like you might need a therapist.
You still
Oh, yeah. Oiga vault. Yes, please. Thank you. Thank you for the mime. Now I'm not sure if we should be even more scared now. Thank you for humoring us.
Well, you asked for it.
Well, I did, and I have to say that, there were people in the audience that wanted to, see
Did they?
Mister Nosybonks. They did. We had that in chat, so but to
Did they
give us
really?
yeah, they did. Yep, so
Oh my word.
I know. See, now you've started a monster that will
Yeah.
actually probably terrorize small children for decades to come,
I got
and
scared.
maybe grown women. Well, you scared me.
Did I really? Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I
I
deserve it.
lived through it.
And so tell us again, because I know that you mentioned that. We saw that hanging on the
Oh,
wall. Tell us again about the
look at my
history.
hair. You messed it up. Okay, so Mr. Nosybonk in the 1970s, there was a children's show called Jigsaw, very appropriately. And Mr. Nosybonk was supposed to educate children on how to read, how to count, and he never spoke. never spoke. And kids, it got pulled. It lasted for about 5 years, and then got pulled because kids would genuinely having night terrors about it. Now, a fun fact is Mr. Nosybonk actually made it to the X-Files.
Really?
Wow.
If you remember an episode, a character there called Mr. Chuckleteeth. Now, that originally was going to be Mr. Nosybonk, but there was a copyright issue licensing, so they had to change it to this character called Mr. Chuckleteeth, who was kind of this deranged children's killer. And he'd lure them into the woods and all that sinister stuff. But the way he moves and what he did, that was actually Mr. Nosybonk.
Dang. Well,
X-Files, Mr. Chuckleteeth. That's where they got it from.
you know, I mean, really, how many people has the X-Files traumatized over the decades? And how many myths were inserted into the narrative because of the X-Files? Scott,
Mr. Nosybonk was not a myth. He was real.
I can't see anything. I can't wear my glasses.
What are you doing, man?
I know, sir. What? You guys, come on. I've got to spend more time looking like this. You bet. You're wearing your in the field sweatshirt. Yes. I have to say I have a very nice friend who got me a present this week, and it was an in the field hoodie, which is the most comfy, yummy thing this time of year in Utah. So I love it. So that was
Right.
cool.
Where's
Okay,
my
so
bow tie? I'm supposed to have a bow tie. Fell off.
maybe when you took your little head thing off, but that's okay. You look like you should go sing some Engelbert Humperdinck at a wedding.
Should I really? No. You know, his name spelled backwards is Nicoleg Tremblebum. Something like that.
Okay. Wow.
So you were talking about films.
Was I? Because you just completely have traumatized me for the past 10 minutes. So I don't know. We were talking about films.
Well, I am radiant. I'm sorry. I'm radiant.
No, I'm kidding. Okay, so let's talk about horror
No.
films.
No, you'll mention now. There's a few days left to Halloween. Subscription TV is dreadful. What I've recently discovered this month is that all the old Christopher Lee, Vincent Price, Peter Cushing, they're all free.
Oh,
you don't need a subscription. Yeah. I went through both Abominable Dr. Phoebes last night.
Oh, those are awesome.
Yeah, that's where the ideas for Saw came from, because the guy putting him in the trials, and there was one I've been looking for years on DVD. It's not released. It's on YouTube, actually. It's called Deathline, and that is 1971 with Donald Pleasance.
Oh, God, I
That is
love
a
him.
colony of cannibals living in a subway.
Oh, wow.
The story to them, you see, they're much better than, I mean, I'm almost 50 now, so I'm a grumpy old bastard, but I find this subscription stuff is dreadful when you can get it for free.
Yeah.
Well, and Christopher Lee and Vincent Price, and I just have to throw this in there. A couple years ago, thanks to my friend Gordon Lohr, he introduced me to the fellow that does Film Facts magazine, which is an incredible magazine that talks about, all of these great horror figures and icons in film, and they are all on the cover. And actually, there's a huge article about me in the Film Facts magazine, which is really cool. I mean, it was about me, but I mean, it was,
saw that.
yeah, it was
What did
so
you do?
cool.
Yeah,
It was an article in Film Facts. It was Gordon Lohr interviewed me.
Oh,
Which
right.
I thought was really cool. But Vincent Price and the gang, they were all on the cover. And I have to say, Vincent Price, I mean, I remember in grade school, we used to go have movie nights in the auditorium or movie days and things. And they put on The Pit and the Pendulum.
Yes.
I've got that one lined up for tomorrow.
Yes. And that, I mean, I watched that again a couple years ago, and it was just, I love it. I mean, it was a great story. Vincent Price is just so, I mean, that creepy kind of zany, he was a master at what he did.
Now,
what about Monster Club? Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I've seen that.
It's got bands and it's part horror, part musical. It's the most bizarre thing.
I think I did see that.
In fact, tonight I thought better of it because there might be kids watching. I was going to come as Frankenfurter.
Oh,
Oh,
I've done a
terror.
few, yeah,
What
I've
does
done a
that
few Rocky Horror
entail?
shows in my time.
Oh, Frankenfurter. Okay. I was thinking, never mind. And I don't know. Anyway, keep going. I don't ask. Just don't ask.
I better not. No.
now, now, have either of you ever seen The Terror with Boris Karloff?
No.
Yes.
And Jack Nicholson's in it, and he's like 19 years old.
Yeah.
And he
Wow.
plays a soldier that comes upon a castle, and he keeps seeing this woman. And well, she ends up being, she's actually dead, but he's seeing her spirit, and it's pretty wild to see Jack Nicholson that young doing a horror movie.
It's not his first one, though. He did one
Oh,
the previous year. The first
oh,
horror film he did was Little Shop of Horrors.
oh yeah, that's right, that's right.
He was the dentist.
Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that one.
You can't
Yeah.
get them now, but you can get them all for free. Who's paying these subscriptions when you get quality like that?
Right.
You know what? Okay, and here I'm going to stump you guys here because this is
Come on.
my all-time. I've got two of my all-time favorite Halloween movies that I love to watch, and one is Bell, Book, and Candle. So name those movie stars.
I don't think I saw that.
I don't know. No. Go on.
Ooh, stumped you. Okay, so Jack
Yes, you did.
Lemmon, Kim Novak, and Jimmy Stewart.
Wow.
And this is, I mean, just back. Kim Novak is a witch, and of course, you know, if you know anything about old movies, and I don't know, it sounds like looking at a chat or reading chat that all of you guys have a fine appreciation and great taste. But Kim Novak was a witch, and she had a store, and she had a black cat named Pyewacket, and
Oh, what? Yes.
yes. And
Yes.
so,
Yeah.
and Jack Lemmon was her
Pyewacket.
crazy kind of beatnik brother. And, you know, late at night, they would pop off a manhole cover and they'd go down underground. And, you know, they'd have this swanky club with somebody playing the bongos. And I mean, just that totally, I mean, just totally cool beatnik vibe. And so Jimmy Stewart walks into the store, to her store, and they end up falling in love. And it was just one of those cute movies. It just always reminds me of Halloween. And you guys have to Google Bell, Book, and Candle. And there's a
Bell, Book, and Candle.
scene, Bell, Book, and Candle, and there's a scene where she's, you know, got Pyewacket and she's singing this, humming this really beautiful melody. And it's just one of those things when you look into her eyes, it's just, it was just a great movie. And then Arsenic and Old Lace, which is,
I
okay,
haven't seen that in years.
I know. Not Charles. Have you seen that?
I have a vague memory of it.
Cary Grant.
Cary Grant. Yeah,
Yep.
I was thinking about the one with Fred Astaire, which was horrific, but don't you remember that? Fred
No.
Astaire's last movie was a horrific one. What was it called?
Ghost.
And Ghost
Story. Ghost Story. Ghost Story. Sorry. Yep. I loved that movie.
Ghost
Isn't that
Story, yeah, that was a good one.
Alice
Loved
Creed
that
and
movie.
Fred Astaire.
That was a great movie. I remember seeing that back in when it was filmed. I'm not going to date myself. Clearly, I have been all night. But
Erica,
mhm.
1981.
1991.
81.
81.
1981.
That's when that movie came out.
Oh,
Well, I watched it a lot. I watched it in the 90s.
No, you didn't.
I did, maybe. It was very young. My mother let me have too much TV time, and she wasn't monitoring what I was watching. Should have been watching the Flintstones Ghost Story. That's pretty
Yeah.
much.
yeah.
That explains a lot.
It kind of does.
Yeah.
It actually, yes, it does. But yeah, no, those are some of my favorites. And I mean, what do you think of Stephen King?
Oh, he's gone into a decline.
Yeah.
Story-wise. I sometimes wonder whether it's him that's writing them anymore. I kind of bailed out at Tommy Knockers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Has there been debate whether it's actually him that's doing them now?
I always liked it when he focused more on the supernatural stuff than, you know, the kind of weird stuff like the Kathy Bates movie where it was just a person.
Misery.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I still liked it, but I liked it when he did the more supernatural stuff.
Well, it's scarier than you think because it has these kind of like weird little communities, right? There's kind of like a vibe to them. Well, I mean, I spend a lot of time in Provincetown and Barnstable. People are just like that.
Yeah.
They're really
Well,
creepy people.
come to Salt Lake.
And up at the Kennedy
Just
compound,
kidding.
they're crazy. Yeah.
There's a new series that's on Netflix. It's called Midnight Mass, and it takes
Uh,
place out on Cape Cod,
oh no.
and it's so good. I
Right.
binge
Is
watched
it
the
okay?
whole.
And there's a question here. Peter Straub, Danny wanted to know if Peter Straub wrote Ghost Story. And I think he might have,
I
actually.
think so.
Who
Hmm.
did the screenplay for the movie?
I don't know. Somebody in chat could probably. And then Marcin also said Jack is also with Vincent and Boris and the Raven movie. I
Right.
love it
Oh,
that
the
we're just,
Raven.
you guys have, I knew that you guys had it going on talking about all these great movies. And Steve Wills says also Dario Argentinos, Suspira, I'm butchering that, really disturbing cinematic genius. And so I need to clearly spend some time. And The Fog and Christine.
Oh, that's my research partner Danny that asked that question.
Oh, cool.
Christine was good.
Yeah, I liked Christine. I mean, I definitely Carrie, was an amazing movie with Sissy Spacek, when that was and the pig's blood thrown on
I
her.
Trigger
think
So
warning.
very,
I love the remake of Carrie. I thought it was great.
I haven't
You
seen
know,
it.
Haven't seen
yeah,
it.
it's really good. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, but I don't know. This is so much fun not talking about UFOs.
It is. I'll
I'm
tell you
really,
about my trophy next time.
your trophy.
Oh, I've been misbehaving. No, a trophy is when I get blocked, banned, and or otherwise comments deleting for saying something factual that is inconvenient. But I'll tell you about it next
No,
time.
why don't you just tell us now? Because I can't wait this week for till next
Oh,
week.
well, I've been after this one for a while. So it's a big one. So I won't labor the point on it. It's one of the guys who has been popular but shot his credibility as a ufologist, and he's trying to reinvent himself now as a sort of freedom fighter, taking on the man. And I'll be obscure about it. Okay. Now he made a broadcast this past week in which he was encouraging his viewers to be like Luther, the patriarch, right? Because he freed humanity from the shackles of organized religion. My rosy red ass, he did. So I said to him in the little chat box, so why aren't you telling your audience about the horrific anti-Semitic propaganda that Luther was writing, which directly influenced the Nazis? And that's how I got my trophy. And considering what you claim to be, you're not. Then you should know better. So I got that trophy for doing that right.
So,
Political hokum. So I need Jimmy Church, um, Sarah Adams, and Hippy Dippy Laura, not an Eisenhower. Then I got a full set. Did I go too far? Sorry. So we'll
no,
get that out of the way, right?
okay, thank you.
I have my Jimmy Church trophy.
How'd you get your trophy, Jimmy Church trophy?
He had on Tyler Glockner from
Yeah,
Secure Team, and he was touting him as this is a
right.
great database for ufologists to go to, and so I criticized it, and he blocked me. So
All right, I must have missed that one.
yeah,
Maybe I wasn't well, no, I mean, I don't know. I don't waste my time with obvious absolute rubbish, but this one, it is important that people get all the available stuff so they can make an informed choice.
mhm.
And deliberately keeping something like that from your audience, I think it's a bit, it's very manipulative. So that's that trophy.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. I mean, I think unfortunately, we should have, more people standing, talking about this stuff because this whole community, well, that community, I'm not a part of that community. I'm very proud to say that. but there's some very concerning uh, threads, themes moving through
I
this,
know.
and some of the work, as you know, we all know this, but that they're supporting. People need to start asking questions about that. Definitely, as I say every week, but good for you.
Oh, thank you so much indeed. And possibly calling him Mr. Librarian at the end of it might have had something to do with it.
You know,
I'm a
I
son of a bitch. No,
It's okay. I mean, I've been, yeah, I've had my fair share of things. In fact, I was actually told by a certain somebody that I was on Coast to Coast once. I'll never be probably asked on again, clearly. But I was interviewed by George Knapp, and I had brought up some of the things that I was dealing with, some of the sexism, I mean, bullying, just the same
yeah,
old crap that I've talked about that unfortunately a lot of women go through in this field. And I brought that up in my experience, and then I ran into another person who was on Coast to Coast at a conference, and had a private conversation with him, and he just told me, well, Erica, you lost all of your numbers on Coast to Coast the second you talked about sexism and ufology.
God.
And I just thought, well, that if that says a lot about the audience, and so
works both ways.
I guess I
Right.
am
Works
Right.
both
pretty
ways.
glad
I
that
got wrapped up with, I mean, she's gone now mostly. I got wrapped up foolishly 15 years ago with the lady who likes faux American history. Now, she was a faux Native American Indian history, right? And claims knowledge of that. Well, the way she was getting her stories was by getting guys drunk and seducing them.
Oh
And at
man.
once, you got these two thoughts going, well, this is kind of very flattering. And then your sense kicks in and you think, this person thinks I'm a whore. And she couldn't afford me anyway. So
oh,
that was that one.
snappy, bo peeps.
Boom. Boom.
Hmm. Well, on that note,
It's funny. It
let's,
works both ways, honey.
oh, don't you be honeying me
Why not?
because I said so.
Okay, I do
I
apologize.
am Miss
Just
Erica Lukes
kidding.
to you, just so you know. Just
You know what?
Just
My
freelance.
research partner, Danny, came up with a name for you, Erica.
oh God, another one.
Scarica Spooks.
Scarica spooks.
Yeah.
What is that supposed to? I mean,
He said that's a
what?
name you could use for your
Scarica
Halloween thing.
spooks. I could. Maybe we
Erica
should
Scarica
Spooks.
start another YouTube channel.
Spooks.
That'll work.
Yeah, I could. I could play little videotapes of me watching certain TV shows and my reactions, or certain video footage of different cults, UFO cults, and that should be fun. I don't know, but
Plenty
anyway,
there.
that's
Maybe
Plenty
you
there.
should make a video teach. Sorry, Kara. Make a video teaching aliens Pilates.
I could. That could be fun. I'm sure some people would probably pay for that sort of thing,
They
but
would
yes,
love
you
it.
could.
They would love it.
Absolutely. And Thurston, welcome to chat. Happy Halloween. I'm so excited. I hope you guys are doing something fun for Halloween. I'm actually, it'll be interesting. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing, but hopefully having a good bowl of chili and hanging out with my friends and telling spooky stories and all the usual. Halloween in Utah is really fun. We get into it here, and it's been such a beautiful fall. The leaves are falling. The air feels so great and crisp, and I love it. This is my favorite time of year for lots of different
Yeah.
reasons.
Yeah.
Mostly because I reflect on my gnome costume from 6th grade, but that's okay.
That stayed with you, didn't it?
It did. And I'll have to try to find I'm going to try to find the photo for that. I'll see if I can
Yeah,
find
I
it and
want it.
post
I
it.
want it.
Yes, and it'll be really scary. So,
So
multiple.
you were tall. Everyone was kind of shorter, right?
They were much shorter. This was one of those moments in time I wish I could still relive, where I could look down on, pretty much everybody. That was good. So Danny can't seem to get on with the phone, but yes, I was quite tall and quite athletic and super nerdy.
Dressing
So,
as a gnome won't make you look down on anybody, really.
well, I mean, you would think if unless you were Gigantor gnome, which they really should have a horror movie about that. I could star in that clearly. So, Gigantor
Gigantronome.
gnome. Yep.
I'm sure it's been done.
Well, after I get done with the ufology puppet show, that'll be
Now, have
definitely
either
done.
of you seen Hereditary?
No.
Which one? The new one or the 70s one?
The new one. They were when it came out, they were touting it as like the scariest film made in the last 15 years, and I really thought it was awesome. It was a great film.
Just write that down. So shall I
Yeah,
keep a
it's the
description?
newest one. I forgot. Gabriel Byrne plays the father, and the mother is another famous actress. I forgot her name.
Gabriel Byrne.
Totally awesome movie. Blew me away. Really scary.
In what sense? It's got a good story, or it's visually scary, or
Both. It's starts out as kind of a turmoil thing within the family dynamic because something traumatic happens, and that builds up to you find out that there was this satanic thing going on behind the scenes, and I loved it. It made the hair stand up on my neck. It was a good one.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah,
That's-
that's interesting.
Well,
And so, listen, I know some of you guys are trying to. Well, Danny, I'm sorry that you can't get in to the conversation on your phone. But if any of you guys want to click on that chat or the link and get into to the show and just tell us a little bit about your ghost stories or some of your experiences, whatever your
ghost
favorite
story.
horror movie.
A
So,
ghost story. Okay, so yeah, you asked for a ghost story. So I would have been about 15 and hammered. And the house I was, there was a field, and about half a mile across that field was an old, like a concert hall, that sort of thing. And I was woken up at the early hours in the morning, and there was this beautiful music drifting across the field, big band, Glenn Miller, that sort of thing. And I started walking across. Oh, that'd be nice to be part of. I started walking across this field towards this music. And then halfway, I got really scared and started running back. I probably sobered up. And the following day, I was driving past it on the coach. I was on the coach going past it. And that's when I realized that that place had been derelict for years.
Oh, wow.
True. Yeah. And that really scared me.
Wow.
Because if I'd have got to the end of that field and seen what was there, would it have just gone away, or what would have happened, right?
Right.
But that was something I can't quite figure out.
Wow. Yeah,
interesting.
that's creepy.
Scott, you must have. I mean, tell everyone about your area where you live and some of the old, tales that you have because like we, in Salt Lake City in Utah, we've got a lot of old mining towns and a lot of really interesting and rich history with the Mormons and and things. And so we've got, always interesting locations at Ted Bundy. We've got lots of places that you could go, and I have gone on different ghost tours and things. And so, tell us about the area that you live and some of the creepy tales.
So I've been wanting to throw together kind of a short documentary about this case, and it's the town over from here. It's about 15 minutes away. Um, in the 1980s, this farmer here claimed that he was possessed, and it became a famous case for Ed and Lorraine Warren. They came out here, they made multiple trips out here. They had a couple film crews. There were priests involved. There was police officers that gave sworn affidavits. And the book came out, and it was called Satan's Harvest. And it's
Mhm.
kind of hard to find now. You can find used copies, but it's kind of hard to find. So he they had witnessed in the home poltergeist activity. He would bleed from his eyes. Um, he had a doppelganger. There was one incident where his wife was washing the dishes and there was a window above the sink, and she looked out the window and saw him out in the field naked, just standing there. And as she was looking at him, he came through the kitchen door fully dressed. And when she looked back, there was nobody out there. And his doppelganger would keep appearing to different people. And so a few weeks ago, my research partner Dan and I drove up to the house because I wanted to see who lived there. Maybe they would let us shoot a little bit of footage. This little old man answered the door, and he had bought the property from the family. Um, Apparently, he had a bunch of people bugging him over the years because he didn't want to talk about it. He wanted us to get off of his property. He was polite about it, but he just too many people going up there and showing up in his yard in the middle of the night and requesting interviews. And so the creepiest part of the story is they performed, I believe, I know one exorcism, maybe two, and things kind of leveled off. But because of the publicity, the two reporters from the Boston Globe are the ones that wrote the book. And so it got a lot of publicity. And when they kind of leveled off, they moved from here out to Hadley, Massachusetts. Well, long story short, he loads up a shotgun a few years later. He blows her arm off, then grabs her and brings her into the living room, sits her on a couch directly across from him, puts the gun in his mouth, and blew his head off.
Wow.
Heavens.
And that's how the story ended. And but there was some people say that he was faking it, that he was an actor. Priests gave written affidavits, police officers. So I mean, I'm not really sure what happened. There was a lot of people that witnessed a lot of different things. So unless it was like some kind of negative energy that was around them, or I don't know, but it's a really very interesting story.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's just a couple miles from here. So the
What
guy,
were their beliefs before? Before the
um,
exorcism, what were their beliefs before the exorcism? Did it exasperate anything?
well, they were a religious family, so he had suffered a lot of abuse as a child, and
Right.
this might be a little bit graphic for some people.
All right.
His father would force him to have sex with the farm animals, and so this like really scarred him very badly.
Right.
And he would beat him, and the guy just had a super abusive childhood. And some people say that that kind of maybe brought on some kind of negative energy. He used to have a saying that he would say to his father, "I'd rather work for the devil than work for you." And I guess he would say this repeatedly to his father. But they were a religious family, and
Right.
um, the events began to happen. Somebody found out about it. Once the Warrens went out there, then it started to get publicity. And so each week in the Boston
Warrens.
Globe, they would print an excerpt about the story. And so I was following it in the Boston paper, and it was just fascinating. And then one day I walked into the store a couple years later, and there was the book Satan's Harvest. So very, very interesting case.
And thank you for sharing that. I mean, I love. I mean, that's a disturbing case, and it is interesting. Again, you've got the Warrens coming in, and again, I've mentioned they're
Oh,
very controversial,
Yeah.
um, and in with regard to all of this. But it is interesting to hear stories about their investigations and whether they were credible or not, or whether they were prone to fantasy, or whether they were prone to You know what I mean? I think we find that
Right.
a little bit in the subject of ufology too. But that is interesting that you mentioned that the trauma, uh, the childhood trauma and things that people deal with. And as we know, I think people in ufology that are looking at the abduction phenomenon, there's definitely a lot of childhood trauma that goes on with people who are allegedly having abduction experiences, which is interesting and completely off the ghost topic. So there, but
No, but you know what, Erica? This is where they get people, cause I hear you very, very clearly, and you know what? When I got out of my situation and things calmed down, the abduction experiences stopped.
Mhm.
So that's why I
interesting.
tend to think that part of it was possibly not what yeah, it seemed to be.
Thank you, Steve, for the wonderful, the kind, very kind donation tonight. I know you're off to bed. You're going to visit John Hanson's British UFO Information Office archive tomorrow. 25,000 documents preserving reports and UFO social history.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, we need to get you on the show soon. Have a wonderful time. Thanks for always hanging with us, and I look forward to hearing more about that. So thank you. Happy Halloween. Okay. Yeah. And so shadowy spectrums, I'm sorry that you can't get on. I don't know why your camera doesn't work with StreamYard. Maybe you need to go to, if you can, go to Chrome.
Yeah, but wasn't
So,
he? He was on with us before using StreamYard.
well, I know. I don't know. You know, I'm tech. You know me. I can't even unhit the mute mic sometimes.
I thought you did
Mute
rather
mic.
well tonight.
Yeah,
It's
Kind
yeah.
of,
only an hour into it, and I'm having a hair catastrophe, so that's okay.
yeah, but
Um,
everything started like clockwork. It doesn't always happen that way.
you know what? You're right. I was like,
You're
yeah,
like, whoa.
the stars aligned, the clouds
Yes.
parted, and you know what happens after that? Well, I don't know. But anyways, so
Dr. Phoebes comes out, rises again. That's what
That's
happens.
that is really great. Yeah, that's good. So, um, with regard to, I want to, like with UFO, or excuse me, the ghost legends in Utah, we have, like I said, Salt Lake is it's got the crazy history. And if have the privilege, oh my gosh, I didn't even mean to say that. If you ever come to Salt Lake and you go down, we've got this beautiful street called South Temple, and we name all the streets according to how far away they are from the temple. And so South Temple is obviously south of the Mormon temple, the LDS temple. And there's some wonderful old houses, these historic mansions that are built there, and lots of different ghost stories. And I spoke at the Alta Club, which is on South Temple, and it is an old gentleman's club in Utah. And now, of course, it's, men and women can go there. How lucky for us women that we have that privilege now. But I was invited to speak there by my friend. That was really absolutely a lovely event. And Brandon Fugel was supposed to speak at that event as well. We were talking about Skinwalker Ranch and Utah UFO sightings. And unfortunately, Brandon's father passed away, so he could not be there at that event. But it was fun. I got to speak the whole time, and some of the people kind of pulled me aside that worked there, and they were talking about the different ghosts of at the Alta Club. And apparently there was a jealous cook that came into the kitchen and shot holes and killed a few people. And apparently the butcher block that they had there was, and they just had barely gotten rid of it, but it was still riddled with bullet holes. And so these ghosts were roaming, the Alta Club. And if you can look that up online and see the beautiful architecture, and you walk in, and I mean, just these gorgeous high ceilings and the woodwork, the artwork, all of it is just absolutely fantastic. And so you can see how when you enter a building like that, how there could just be, all of these spooky tales of ghosts past, people passing away and things. And speaking of, this is just on another little tangent. I was telling my friends tonight, one thing I'm going to do before I shuffle off this mortal coil, is I'm going to go to the Stanley Hotel on Halloween for the masquerade ball.
Now,
So
what
I'm
is
so
this
the
hotel?
Stanley Hotel is the place where The Shining was
Oh
set.
yeah. That's right. That's right.
And
The
so
This is
over
not the building on the outside.
right. Do they
no,
have?
this
Is
was the building. I think that wasn't this the
there
building on
really
the
a
outside?
maze there?
Is
That
there
was a
what?
set. The Shining Hotel was a set.
No, there's a hotel though. The Overlook Hotel
Yeah.
was actually they filmed a lot of the scenes at the Stanley.
No kidding.
Hmm.
Oh, I want to go. Thank you.
Yeah. Anytime. Let me just correct you when you're wrong. Just kidding.
Is there a maze outside?
Do I have a
You know
choice?
what? No, you don't actually. I don't know if there's a maze outside. I don't think so, but I mean, it is just said it's in Estes Park, Colorado, and so you've got this beautiful, beautiful hotel that is just set, kind of nestled up against the mountains, and it's just looks absolutely fantastic. And every Halloween, I'm not sure if they're doing it with COVID, but every Halloween they have a masquerade ball and they go on ghost tours, and it just, I mean, just sounds like a place I need to go. And speaking of, and I don't know if any of you, you live in Roy. And so, okay, I'm sorry, I'm multitasking here. Um, the Haunted Bed and Breakfast by Skinwalker Ranch, and is it legit? I'm not sure which
The what?
haunted. Well, I got a question from Steve's Aquatics about the Haunted Bed and Breakfast by Skinwalker Ranch, and I'm not sure. I'm sure that there are probably quite a few haunted bed and breakfast by Skinwalker Ranch. And
It got bad reviews
haunted.
because people keep walking out the entrance and they're falling in these giant beaver droppings. It's not good.
Oh, the Dino Beaver. Yeah, I don't know. Hate it when that happens.
This huge dam blocks that car.
But Steve, I will. It was on the Jackass. I wonder if, yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I'm I've heard stories, so I've never been there. I don't know. But there are definitely a lot of places in that area that have things happen.
So, do you believe in place memory?
I don't know. That's an interesting question.
What is that?
It's where the idea is that pheromones or something, when something
Thank
happens
you.
that's traumatic. Oh, that's beautiful.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Wow.
Yeah,
Expensive?
doesn't look like a maze.
No. That was pretty though. And they had the guy in the belfry kind of like there. Yeah, so place memory. Yeah, so something happens, it gets into the fabric of the environment. So if it's made of stone or something like that, the idea is it acts like a recording and plays back
Oh, I see.
past events that have been, significant or whatever. Which it's the idea used for, troops and battlegrounds and why people keep seeing that sort of thing replayed. It's an interesting hypothesis. I don't know what the actual
Yeah,
science is, but
yeah. I've heard that where it leaves an imprint on the area,
right,
and then when people go there, it keeps playing itself back.
right.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think we lost Erica.
No, I was just
No,
I was futzing.
Futzing.
A girl has to futz in a Halloween costume sometimes.
did it hurt?
No, it would have if it was going out to the public, I'm sure. But anyway, oh, now we've got Peter. Hello, Peter Shelley, looking dapper as always.
Hey, he made it.
How are you? Your mic is muted, but you look good.
Why don't you tell him to put his costume on?
Because he's not you.
Fell for that,
Can
didn't
you hear
we?
me?
Come on, you've got, Because it's not you. Oh, we've got
Do you have
a little
audio?
delay
See,
going on.
place
Can you hear
memory.
me?
Oh, he's
Yeah.
got to
There's a little bit of a
he's got
delay.
to mute the show on his computer.
Well, I don't think he's got a headphones. So Peter, yeah, we're hearing the background noise. And I don't know if you've got headphones or anything. But we'll figure that out. I know that this is technology at its finest.
Huh.
You get to see these crazy things. And so I want to just mention because Steve's Aquatics is talking about a ranch in the Strawberry River Inn in Duchesne, and I don't think Ryan owns that anymore. Ryan Burns has been on the show. I'll have to get him back. And he also owns Space Wolf Research, and so that is a property that is adjacent to Skinwalker Ranch, and lots of interesting things going on, definitely. And so, Peter, let's try it again. Can we?
Can you hear me? Hello.
How are you?
Excellent.
Good. Okay.
I'm,
Tell us your ghost story. Black-eyed children. You were mentioning black-eyed children. I'm not sure what to think about that.
well, I'm interested in that topic. I don't really have a black-eyed children's story, but I wanted to know what other people thought about that topic.
Yeah.
It seems to have
Hello?
originated another horror film, Village of the Damned. Did you ever see that?
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Seems to be very much like that.
yeah. It's a British science fiction film, or science
Yeah,
fiction.
I think they did make a remake of it too.
With Christopher Reeves.
Oh, he was in the new one. Yeah.
But it is interesting, though. You bring up a good point about,
Yeah.
like looking at the origins of these stories and going back, as far as the black-eyed children. I think, again, is that something that's been inserted, taken from somewhere and inserted into the narrative. I definitely will have to ask Nick Redfern, who's going to be on the show pretty quick, since he
That
is
seemed to be a fad, didn't it? I've
Who
not
do you
heard
think?
anything in recent years.
maybe they're doing some genetic testing. Maybe we should ask Hal Putoff and Kit Green about that.
Well, good for them.
Oh, gee, here we go.
So
No, that was
related
one
to the Men in Black.
You said you weren't doing that tonight.
it was one comment as take. I'm.
Oh, Peter's got a delay or something.
So is it related to the Men in Black? I mean, I would be, it very well could be, and I think we know that the Men in Black are not necessarily mythical creatures. They were probably people that were paid to go in and potentially, intimidate witnesses, collect information. But that's my thought on the Men in Black. What are your thoughts?
Men in Black, I didn't quite buy it because they're supposed to be able to materialize at will, vanish, intimidate people, walk through walls, whatever. But they also require their victims to physically open cupboards, drawers, and safes and take out documents or whatever. Why don't they just steal it out of the safe if they can, put their hands through solid objects and things?
Right. Hey. So, Peter, we're gonna try to remove you and then reconnect because you've got a really slow connection. So try to
Tell you what,
give us a buzz again, really quick. So, and
if
thanks,
you're out there, Men in
Simon,
Black,
on
come
that.
see me.
Well, and I want to say that the Men in Black, there's a really interesting story that I will have Nick Redford tell us about the Men in Black back in the 60s. And interestingly enough, they were driving Ford Galaxies, which I must say is my car when I'm not driving my other car. I've got a 1965 Ford Galaxy convertible. It is canary yellow with leopard print interior. And they used to be old cop cars, which is really amazing. And so, yeah, that little baby's quite the head turner when you get that going on.
That's a nice car.
Absolutely. I love it. And so, yeah, anybody, I mean, Amy, if you want to call in, I would love. I haven't talked to you forever. And I know I keep threatening to call you, and I'm sorry, life has been crazy and I've not really been, I've just been in my own little funk as of late. So we're going to try to add Peter again.
Oh, you know what?
Oh, go ahead, Scott.
Somebody just asked about what people thought of the latest this year's American Horror Story. Did anybody see that?
I think I've like one episode in,
So
and I
it
need.
takes place in Provincetown, and it's pretty wild. But the second half of it goes into aliens, and but it's got all this weird stuff in it, like people explode and splatter all over the place. It's really bizarre. It's bizarre. But
Okay,
the Provincetown story
Okay.
is really cool.
Okay.
they did that in Asylum though, didn't they? With the those really freaky aliens. They were good aliens in the horror story Asylum. Is it the same thing?
I'm not sure. I know it's the latest season of American Horror Story. It
I
just,
kind of bailed out at Hotel.
yeah, I don't watch it very much. I kind of iffy on it.
I really liked the first couple episode or seasons, and then I just lost
Yeah.
interest in watching it. I think after a while, it really, I don't know, didn't do much for me. But that's my own thing. So anyway, okay. So
Were you
Peter,
talking about spontaneous human combustion? Was that what was in the movie?
No,
Spontaneous human.
no, they actually
Mario, dang it!
explode.
Okay, I tried to get Mario on the stream. Dang it, Mario! Put your glasses back on and come back on the screen.
Linda Moulton Howe.
Mario had a very good costume on, and I want to also, just while I'm talking about Mario, just say, Mario, thank you for everything that you do to support UFO Classified, to get information out there. And I want to just remind all of you to like and subscribe. And I know that this show this evening is just all over the place because this is my mind all over the place as of late. And I just wanted to have a fun night talking about horror movies and talking about ghost stories and not talking about UFOs and Skinwalker Ranch and
Have you been misbehaving?
werewolves. Have I? Never.
I'll take that as a yes.
No, but the night's still young. It's not even 7 here in Utah, so you never know what will happen. But Mama is getting a little older, so I have to kind of rest up.
Of course you do.
Oh, so here's a Marston's asking horror wise, did we like Fire in the Sky?
Oh God, he must be new to the show.
No, actually no, because Marston is in here all the time, actually, and I must say, posts some incredible comments, some very, very thoughtful, intelligent comments. So
I think that it was an interesting sci-fi film, but other than that, it was sci-fi.
It was good TV in parts.
Yeah.
I think that was what Tracy Torme, he directed that. I mean, I thought it was one of those movies that, you know, you watch it and I definitely say it creeped me out. I thought it was the way the story flowed and the visual effects were pretty good, actually. So, but I don't know. I mean, as far as like the ET genre of films, what do you think were some of the spookiest UFO shows? The creepiest?
Alien.
Yeah.
I loved the Fourth Kind, actually, with Mia Jovovich.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did you guys ever see that about Nome, Alaska?
I have.
No.
That was
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
That was yeah, and of course Alien. You know, the little.
Which one though?
Both.
Both.
Well, there's been a whole bunch of them, but the Donald Sutherland one.
Yes.
Certainly.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Donald Sutherland was
and
amazing.
the Kevin McCarthy 1950s one. I mean, that was about communism, obviously, but still pretty scary when you're a kid.
Did you ever see Eye of the
When you were a kid?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Excuse me. Anybody remember the 50s Invaders from Mars, the original?
Oh,
where people get sucked down into the desert. Oh, that used to scare me as a kid. The concept of people getting sucked into the sand dunes. Remember that?
Yep.
Didn't they show, wasn't it like a giant eyeball, Peter?
It was a giant head.
Oh, it was a giant
Martian brain underground.
Yeah.
And it actually had alien implants.
Yeah,
They
right
would
in the
have
back.
them in their neck.
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
The
okay.
people would get sucked down into the desert, and then they would reappear with the implant in their neck, and the whole town was taken over. It creeped me out as a kid.
Yeah,
Which one
those
came
were.
first, Body Snatchers or that?
I
Uh,
don't know.
this was predated the original Body Snatchers.
Wow.
I think the original Invaders from Mars was 53, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But in general, I don't like the new movies. I like the pre-computer graphics movies.
Yeah.
There's just too many computer effects now. It just leaves me cold.
Yeah, me
They
too.
don't generate any emotion for me at all.
You know what I saw the other night that really used a lot of practical effects was the John Carpenter's The Thing with what's his name there?
Kurt Russell.
Yeah, Kurt Russell. That always love that. I love that version. They remade a newer version, and I just didn't like it.
Mm.
But
You know
Carpenter,
that though? The newer one actually had real models that were made, really good models, and then they were removed in post-production and replaced with CGI, and it was dreadful.
why did they do that?
You can actually see them. The actual thing, the original form, were like these giant insects with three eyes like that, like from the book Who Goes There? And that's the way they were done, and it was all removed, and CGI was put in its place. It was dreadful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. So what about The Thing? Okay, The Thing, I love The Thing, Mothman Prophecies. I have to
Oh,
say
that
that
was
I
terrifying.
do
Love that.
love, yeah, that was a great movie. Richard Gere. I mean, it just, I thought that was excellent. And Laura Linney
Yeah. Right.
was in that. That was a great,
Yeah,
great
why
movie.
hasn't there been a sequel to that movie? That movie was great. Mothman
That's true.
Prophecies.
That's true.
Well,
Yeah.
the
It
bridge
deserves a
collapsed, and that's it.
And then Ridley Scott. Marcin just mentioned Ridley Scott, and I just have to say Ridley Scott is one of my all-time favorites, and I loved Blade Runner.
You know, I just
Mm.
watched the sequel again the other night, and the visuals in that movie are just incredible. That is such a good movie.
Blade Runner.
Yeah, the sequel that they just did with Ryan Gosling's in it. Just the visuals are just mind blowing in that film.
That is such. I just remember like when the first Blade Runner came out. That was such an amazing. The original with Harrison Ford and Sean Young and things and the visual effects were just so stunning back then, and the soundtrack. And I think Vangelis did the soundtrack,
Right.
if I'm not mistaken. God, I'm dating myself tonight. I'm kidding. I actually read about these. It's from a different person that was born before I was. Yeah. Okay. I'm just kidding.
What about TV series?
As far as UFOs or ghosts,
Well, more like a horror. Anybody remember the Boris Karloff Thriller TV series?
Yes, yes, I loved it.
Oh, I love that.
nope.
You know what I loved was with Rod Serling, but it was Night Gallery.
Oh, that
Yeah.
was yep.
I
That was a good
loved
one. Yep, I loved it too.
And
I
do you know that he did a radio show after that called Zero Hour?
No,
Rod Serling.
wow,
Yeah, that was in the 70s.
definitely had the voice for it.
well, interesting stuff, you guys. I don't know. So, Peter, tell us a ghost story.
Well, I don't have any ghost stories,
What?
oddly enough. I've already related my UFO experience, but I've
Right.
never had a ghost experience. And maybe that's good
What
because
about?
I've never had anything really scary.
But what about where you
Paranormal.
live? I mean, you have to have some interesting stories in your community.
Well, I live in Colombia,
Hmm.
and down here there's a lot of ghost stories.
Mhm.
And I have been teaching down here, and I've heard stories from my students. And the craziest story, do you want me to tell you real quick a crazy story I
Yes,
heard?
I do.
Yes.
Okay, there was a girl, a student, a young girl who told me in this particular pueblo, a small village, uh, was there were a lot of witches, and she claimed that she encountered a uh, a creature with a human head, with a spotty biter, a body of a spider, in this village, and she said this thing was psychic and was able to tell her about her life, her future. I don't believe it, but this is the story that she had. In other words, a human head on a spider body that was talking,
I think I
but
might have
but
dated
full
somebody
size
like that.
human head.
Hmm.
A lot of shadow people stories.
And
So
so tell
Yeah.
us about some of the shadow people stories, because that seems to be it's always fascinating to me. Or the Hat Man. The Hat Man is another one that you hear about.
well, none of the shadow stories that the students told me stand out. Uh, Probably the one with the spider with the human head. That's the one I remember because it's so
Yeah.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. And so
I've got, I have one. I have
yes,
one.
okay, okay.
So as a child, my grandmother would tell this story over and over again. And apparently she was in the dining room coloring or drawing on some paper, and this man walked into the room, and he stood there looking at her. So of course she became uneasy, didn't know who this person was. She described it as a solid person. It didn't look like a mist or anything like that. It looked like a real person. And he smiled at her a few times. He moved to the other side of the table, stood and looked at her, walked out of the room, and that was it. So she ran to my great grandmother and told her, there's a man in the house. So my great grandfather, he went around looking. There was nobody there. Um, so my grandmother was really upset. She was crying about it, and so they pulled up a photo album, and she was flipping through the pages to ask my grandmother, does it look like any of these people? And she pointed to one man and she said, that's him. And he was dressed just like that. And it was her uncle that had died a few months before. And she said it was identical. And she would tell this story over and over again as I was growing up.
Wow.
Didn't look ghostly, just looked like a solid person, and didn't disappear, just walked into the other room.
Well,
Creepy.
And
it
there was interaction there, actual interaction.
Yeah, he smiled at her a few times, but there was no words spoken.
Huh.
interesting. It's fascinating. I always love to, I have a Pilates studio and I have just an amazing group of people, very diverse. And, of course, this time of year, it's like October 1st, we're getting at the Halloween, we're talking about all these ghost stories. And I love hearing people and their different perspectives on things. And, inevitably somebody has a story about something, whether they, had a dream about a departed loved one, or whether they, were stopped, right before they were in an accident, or whether, they were, woken up in the middle of the night because there was a woman sitting at the bottom of their bed. You have, I just over the years, I've heard so many fascinating tales of people. In fact, today I had a client in here who was talking about being in an old house back east, and she never believed in any of this, but she was taking a shower and she felt this hand kind of reach onto her back and imprint itself. And she said that she remembered feeling the space between the fingers. And she was just so taken aback by that, obviously. And she had asked a couple of the other people that were staying in the house, and they recounted the same story. So clearly there was a perverted ghost in the house, in the shower. But I mean, it was just, you know, I don't know. The shower ghost, go figure. But I mean, it was just, it's one of those, things. It's like, like I said, everybody has a story, and whether they're real or we're making things up, or I don't even know. But I know for me personally, I've had some interesting experiences over my life, and it's been fun to share them and to listen to other people. It's just really, really cool. I love it.
So you have a body studio. Are you sure you want to admit that on TV? Body studio. You put them in wax or something and display them?
Well, it's a Pilates studio.
Of course it is.
So yes.
Here's a question for everybody. What was your favorite horror character as a kid? Mine was the Mummy.
I think mine was the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Why can I believe that?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's all coming together for me.
Oh, sorry.
It's King what?
No, it came from outer space. Do you remember those, the most alien-looking 1950s aliens you've ever seen? They were terrifying.
I think
that was
so.
3D.
3D.
I mean, for me, like it was Vincent Price in, or like even the original Dracula. I mean, just
Bela Lugosi.
Yes, I mean, God, that was just incredible.
Are you familiar with the 1922?
And the clown from It?
Yes, Nosferatu.
Yes, with the.
Oh, that's great.
That was my. Don't ask what that was.
Well, that's where the sunlight myth started, Nosferatu.
Yeah, that's a great film.
That is creepy.
Film. Yeah.
People think it's folklore. It isn't. The reason that people think Dracula is scared of sunlight is because the studio couldn't afford the extra lighting. So they had to make up this myth as to why the film was so dark. It's one of those. It shows you it's one of those myths that people think is folk legend. It's not. It was invented by Hollywood because they had a tight budget.
Wow.
Yeah. Isn't that it demonstrates how these things can actually get into legend and people think it's real?
Wow. That is interesting.
Yeah. The whole myth about Dracula being scared of sunlight is because the studio could not afford the lighting.
Well,
have you seen the there's a prequel to Salem's Lot by Stephen King. It's called Chapelwhite.
Oh dear.
Yeah, the series is on right now. It's starring I forgot his name. It's fantastic.
Oh good.
Fantastic.
Oh good. I was a little scared.
Called Chapelwhite.
Because I remember Salem's Lot, the original with what's his bucket from the cop series.
David Soul.
Oh,
David Soul.
That would like
James Mason.
Yes, that.
And Reginalda. Do you remember Reginalda?
No.
Oh,
he was the vampire. He actually looked like that. He was played a lot of Vulcans in Star Trek. It was called Reginalda.
Clearly, I'm genetically related.
Possibly.
I think so. Absolutely. Another movie series that I actually really loved is Poltergeist. And like the original Poltergeist, that scared me quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that was creepy.
That was really creepy. And then was it the second with the preacher? And kind of some interesting dentures, maybe, probably.
No, he was terminally ill.
Oh God.
He had stomach cancer.
Oh God. Okay, sorry. Shh.
And this whole myth in the film was cursed and things like that because he died before it came out. He was actually terminally ill at the time.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Okay. Well, okay. I'm sorry. Gotta just throw that out there.
Dentures.
Well, I mean, okay, God. Oh, anyway, moving right along. Okay,
Adrian Brody. Yeah, that's who stars in Chapel Adrian Brody.
he's
Steve just said it
quite
in the
good.
chat.
Right. Oh, okay. Might be worth checking out.
Yeah, it's really good.
Nobody has mentioned the patriarch, the king, the founder of modern horror cinema, Lon Chaney.
Oh, the man of 1,000 faces.
Man of 1,000 faces. Nobody knows today exactly how he did a lot of it, you know.
Yeah, that guy was a
I like
genius.
the original Phantom of the Opera with Chaney.
Yes.
Chaney Sr. Oh, it's fantastic.
Super good.
Yeah.
That's if you've read it, that's how Eric actually looks in the novel. He survived leprosy, so he was this skull with these eyes. Really gruesome.
I'm just
Wow.
not going to make any comments anymore about
Why?
any of this. Well, because
No,
dentures.
Lon Chaney would be 140 something, so he died of natural causes. You
Okay,
say.
that's good.
Now there was a
But how he did his
biopic.
makeup. What's that?
There was a biographical movie that was made about Lon Chaney Sr. Who was the actor that played him?
I don't know.
Oh, James Cagney.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, Man of 1,000 Faces.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
he played Chaney.
I totally forgot that.
I have a feeling that everybody under 30 is just like, what in the crap are these old people talking about?
Erica, we're old, but just look what they missed.
I know they did, and this is the thing. It's like if you've not, seen some of these movies or had these experiences, it's like this is cinema. This is, I love it. And I think you guys have mentioned some great movies and TV series tonight, and that gets me thinking about what I'm going to watch next.
Yeah.
What mood are you in?
God, that's just such a loaded question. Definitely in. Well, I don't know. Maybe I should watch. I don't know. Maybe a comedy. Waiting for Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman.
Waiting for Guffman. I'm just going completely instead of horror because I think my life has been a living horror show with all the deep
Have you
dark
seen
things.
The Green Slime?
The Greens. I have not seen the Green Slime, but Waiting for
Isn't
Guffman.
that a fantastic title? It's
That
a
is-
terrible movie.
That is it. Well, okay. What about Chucky?
Oh, man.
First one.
Now here's something interesting. Do you know that the Chucky was not the first evil doll movie? Do you remember the Twilight Zone episode with Telly Savalas
Oh,
that had Talking Tina?
yeah.
No, before that, Dead of Night, Michael Redgrave,
Yeah, Dead of Night. Uh-huh.
Wow.
1942.
You guys are pulling them out, man.
I don't. Why aren't we playing Trivial Pursuit? Silver Screen Edition.
Because we're revealing that we had wasted lives, I think.
Oh, is that it? Is this
No.
like group therapy in front of the whole world? This is great. Sweet. No, we did.
Well,
I mean,
here's a question. There was every part of the country had local TV horror hosts. Who was your TV horror host in your area when you
Miss
were
Julie.
growing up? Mine was John Stanley in the San Francisco Bay Area. Creature Features.
Yeah, I remember those well. I can't remember who the host was, though. Creature Feature, all the Godzilla movies and the.
Yeah, I don't really know. I Captain Kangaroo. No, it wasn't local, but it was still kind of creeped me out.
Mr. Green Jeans.
Did you? Okay, this is like so off topic because this whole show has been so off topic, and I don't even care because I'm having fun. So, did you guys ever watch HR Pup and stuff?
Oh, I've got the
Oh.
the 18-inch figure
Are
still
you
in the box.
kidding?
Yeah, I still have it in the box.
I have Jacob from the Twilight series
It had
with his shirt
the
off in the box.
kid had the magic flute, right? He had the magic flute, and it would talk.
Yep, that Timmy, like Timmy was a little. But
Yep.
I mean, I think HR Pup and stuff, and this was a kids show, and they had little Clink and was it Clink and Clank, the
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
people, uh, and things, and that was if you guys, I would definitely recommend if you're really bored and don't have a social life. And thank you, Marina, thank you for the nice compliment and this super sticker. That's awesome. But yeah, HR Pup and stuff. That I would YouTube that
Yeah.
just because you can, and then you can say that that was a kind of a waste of time. But it again, it shows you why the youth of America of that time period it was just so lost. The magic flute, Clink and Clank, and yeah, I mean
Sid and Marty
that was a
Krofft
good
were the
one.
producers.
Sid and Marty Krofft did
Did
some
Marty Krofft.
Yeah.
crazy stuff back in that time period. In fact, I think there was one with Charles Nelson Riley, Lidsville.
Oh,
What was it called? Lidsville? I don't know. Anyway, and then there's the
Jim
Love Boat and
Henson.
Fantasy Island. We could go down that road too.
Anyone remember Jim Henson before Sesame Street? He did the thing called The Face. Do you remember The Face?
No.
no.
Terrifying for kids. This face made from string telling everybody about his dark thoughts, and it was for kids.
Wow, I never even heard of that.
The Jim Henson, The Face. It is a thing. And so was Kermit in Wegmans Coffee with a revolver.
Wow.
If you don't buy Wegmans Coffee, Kermit was shooting people with a revolver. Depends what he was smoking at the time, I guess, but
Wow. That is wild.
twisted. Really twisted.
Completely twisted. Absolutely. But you promise me you guys are going to look at HR Pup and stuff, and then let me know in chat what you think about that later.
HR Puffin stuff.
Puffin stuff.
Now,
Yes.
the
Puffin stuff.
original,
Yes. And
the original
did I
Outer
get
Limits.
that back then? No. Mm-mm.
Oh,
The
Outer
original Outer
Limits.
Limits had episodes that were
Super awesome.
horror.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was another good show.
Trying to think of okay, so all right, if you could sum up your favorite horror movie of all time, what would it be? And I know that there's so many, it's hard to pick.
Hell. On what criteria?
Incubus with William Shatner.
Incubus with William Shatner. When did he make it?
I'm joking, of course.
Oh God, okay. Wow. Don't
you seen
don't
it?
get me going like that. I'm like, what?
But have you seen it?
No.
I have not.
Yes, you
That-
have.
that-
1966 with William Shatner. Horror
no.
movie, Incubus.
I
Everyone
did
has to
hear
see
him
that.
on a record, Golden Throats with Leonard Nimoy. That was horrific.
Yeah.
I think they did a version of Proud Mary.
And they did Bilbo, didn't they?
I think, oh my God, they did.
Bilbo Baggins. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Speaking of pup and stuff, that's probably it. But
But
yes, I will look at
Incubus
Incubus.
was shot in Esperanto. The movie Incubus was shot in the language Esperanto.
Only two people
So
in the
William,
world speak that.
William Shatner is not speaking English.
Wow.
Wow.
It's a very strange movie. You can find it on YouTube.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah, just before he did Star Trek.
Interesting.
And do you remember the outer limit? No, was it the Outer Limits?
Yeah,
He was
where he's the pilot.
no, he's a. I thought he was a passenger.
Well, he did a few of them. There was the Gremlin on the
Yeah,
plane,
the gremlin on the plane.
and then he was the
Yeah.
astronaut. Remember, going to Venus? That
Mhm.
was freaky because this
Hmm.
alien came out of the Venus, didn't it, and sort of like that and floated towards him.
Staggering.
That was Outer Limits.
Was Outer Limits? Yeah, that was
Crazy. Well, I don't know. If I had to pick my favorite tonight, my favorite horror movie of all time is The Omen.
Yeah, those were freaky
That's going to
movies.
change tomorrow, but I just loved The Omen. That was so great.
If you like that type of film, you'll really like Hereditary.
Okay.
Hereditary.
It's creepy. It's really creepy.
Don't Be Afraid of the Dark. Steve's Aquatics is talking about from the 70s. I'll have to watch that too. But I love scary movies. I love the whole, obviously, I'm into ghost stories and UFOs, and we're all into some strange things, but it's just such a fun, it's not fun, it's fascinating. And there's, oh my gosh, what is there? And Piranha. Not that was anything but kind of a stupid movie, but Piranha. Sir, the piranhas are eating our guests. I mean, it's one of the best all-time lines
Piranha.
ever. Pretty much
remember
ever. Cinematic moments. Sir, the piranhas are eating our guests.
that.
Oh, I found one. Favorite, for all the right reasons. Quatermass, 1952.
Never heard of it.
You never seen Quatermass?
That's really
Quatermass.
Quatermass.
Quatermass in the Pit. Now,
Sounds
that
like a
was
medical condition.
Nigel Neal.
Quatermass.
Imagine the remake of The Thing with Kurt Russell, where it kind of shapeshifts and absorbs things. Well, that's where it came from, Quatermass. It was this alien
Really?
biological life form that kind of simulated humans,
Wow.
and then took on this gross form when it got into a zoo. Quatermass.
Well, I'm not going to be running out and watching that, but thank you, though.
Did you see? Did any of you see? I think it's a couple years old now, but it's a movie called Life, and it's with Jake Gyllenhaal, and they're in
Oh.
space,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Mm.
and they bring in the life form, and it starts to grow in the ship, and it becomes this kind of it's hard to explain. It's like kind of tentacles, but it floats. Really good movie. Real good movie.
Okay.
I liked it.
I believe you.
It's called Life.
Okay.
What about the original Blob with Steve McQueen?
Steve
Oh,
McQueen.
God, that's right. That was so good. Don't
Yeah.
Be Afraid of the Dark.
The Blob.
Little gnomes that live in the basement. Yes, this
And
is
they
true.
remade The Blob, right, with Kevin Dillon
Oh,
in the 80s,
Yeah.
but I didn't like it as much.
and now there's a new Halloween movie with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, Halloween Kills. It's called.
That was Halloween. I mean, those were all incredible movies. And Friday the 13th, The Nightmare on Elm Street, and, all of those great horror kind of sci-fi. I mean, just.
All right,
yeah.
Erica, who started their career in Nightmare on Elm Street, and he died in the waterbed?
Johnny Depp.
Boom, got it.
That's right. That's right. I am that good.
And modest, too.
Well, I mean, I actually sometimes life's too short to be modest.
Isn't it interesting now you've got these open lines on the shows? Your trolls never show up. Wonder why?
Yeah,
Is that
it's
because?
weird.
What do you think that means?
It means they're scared.
Oh,
They only want to stay in the chat room. They don't want to come on the air.
Right.
I'd be
Just
scared too. I really would be afraid. Absolutely. That's true. That's okay. Maybe they're out having Halloween fun. Who knows? Cute little trolls. But yeah, so okay. I mean, we've got to wrap up the show tonight, and it's been a whimsical, creepy evening of strange costumes. Um, thank you, Bonkers.
Bonkers?
Well, the
Nosy
nose,
bonk.
nosy bonk. I mean, you could see how I could get those confused. Bonkers and nosy bonks. Yeah. Anyway, from now
I
on,
was
it's
coerced.
bonkers. You were, because I mean, clearly we needed to see the face mask before you went off to go perform at the local casino.
What am I doing in a casino?
Well, you're doing your little Vegas act, remember?
Oh, the Vegas act. Yeah.
Yes, yes, with the
Yeah,
Midnight
leave
at
it
the
with the guy on the
Oasis.
lamppost in
Yeah,
the clown suit.
exactly.
You know,
Engelbert Humperdinck.
Nicolette Tremblebum.
That's true. Bonkers.
Tremble.
Something like that.
Well, anyway, thank you. And Marina, thank you for being here. And Marina, I cannot wait to get you on the show. And Marina and I are actually working on some interesting things behind the scenes. We've been preparing some pretty good stuff that will be coming out in the next few months. I can't wait. And I think it will shine a good light on ufology and some of the clowns in ufology, some of the interesting stories. So it's
You're
going to
going to
be
be getting
fun.
trophies, aren't you?
You know what? I've got so many trophies. I can't even tell you. Just look back there. I've got tons of trophies. Anyway, but well, more to come. But thank you for being here, you guys, and thanks for talking about scary things and really kind of whatever we talked about, scary and stupid things and costumes and just being fun and having fun for the night, because I really appreciate that. I needed that. Needed to have a good time dressed up like this, because you're not going to ever see this again.
Why not?
Because I don't think I could recreate this if I tried.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's yeah, so it's okay. So
Now you must forget.
and now you must forget. So take one last look.
Never
Oh,
happened.
thank you. Yes, I'm
You were
getting very
sleepy.
sleepy.
It's been a good
Anyway.
show. Thank you. It's
Yeah,
been
thank you,
nice.
thank you, thank
Yeah,
you, Nut
thank you.
Charles, and Peter Shelley. Tell us about your next show, because I love what you do with Shadowy Spectrums. Who's your next guest? What are you doing?
Well, hopefully a person from Asia, but that's all I'm going to say right now.
Okay.
I'm working with a person in Asia,
Ooh, that'll be
and I'm
fun.
being
Oh,
mysterious.
you're Shadowy Spectrums.
Let's see what happens.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hey, Betsy. Yes, yes, this is Shadowy Spectrums. Peter, who's been on my show before, and love him. So anyway, Scott, what are you up to this week? Anything good? Staying out of trouble?
No, that sucks.
Aren't we getting old enough that we need to rest up?
Well, you get to the point where you don't have a choice and you just pass out. So
Yeah, that's true. I'm thinking I would really like to say that I'm kind of getting over some of the stuff that I've been exploring, and I will be spending the next week, I think, in my archive and working on my book with that I've been writing with Gordon Lore, who I want to just give you a little update about Gordon. Gordon does have a GoFundMe page, and I'll post the link to that on my Facebook page. Gordon is my dear friend, and he's 85 years old. He was with NICAP and a brilliant investigator. Brilliant author, just a he is a wonderful human being. And unfortunately, he has been moved into assisted living. And he has learned over the past month that he cannot go back to his home. And so that was his home for 35 years. He has been very heartbroken, as you can imagine. He has some of these beautiful treasures that he has collected, the family photos, all of these wonderful things, the UFO files, which I'm very excited to say Alice Druffel and Druffel's daughter helped Gordon and Jay, his stepson, go in there. And some of those files will be coming here. And there's some really wonderful things that I'll be adding to my archive, which I appreciate. But if you can go to the GoFundMe page and help Gordon with his living expenses, he's just such a dear, and I'm sorry that he has to go through all this, but I'm very grateful that he is in my life and has been such a wonderful influence. And so just everybody give a little love, send a little love to Gordon Lore tonight, which I know you will. So anyway, on that note, I want to say thank you, boys. Stay out of trouble.
No.
Hmm.
No.
Okay. Yeah, well,
No, I
clearly
won't.
looking like this, I'm thinking, let's get ready to rumble. Tonight's the night. Gonna go
Nice meeting
outside
you.
and
Oh, hello there. Yes, nice seeing you. Yes. The pleasure
yeah,
was all
Scott,
yours.
you haven't been on with Not Charles, have you?
No,
Well, Scott, I've missed you, so I'm really happy to have you back.
I'm happy to be back.
Well, thanks. All right,
Yeah,
you boys.
Eric, give him my contact details.
What do you
can
think
have
I'm
him.
what do you think I'm your secretary?
No, it's a kind favor. You're not kind, are you?
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Not tonight.
Oh, please then.
All right, okay, fine.
Okay.
All right, right, whatever.
Yeah,
Okay,
I gotta have
boys.
fun, right?
Exactly.
Good seeing you, Peter.
Okay, bye, you guys. Love you,
Bye.
thank you, and thanks everybody in chat for getting in there.
Bye.
Thank you, Mario. Mario? If you're there, are you there? You can come on for 1 second with your glasses. He's not gonna do it.
Come
The
on,
pressure's
Mario.
on. Come on, Mario. Where are you? Oh wait, had to stream. No, Mario. Come on. You can do it. Well, anyway, we tried. No, Mario has a good costume behind the scenes. So anyway, love you guys. Have a wonderful evening and have a wonderful Halloween. I'm excited. It'll be fun. So you guys take it easy. Peace out. Remember this look. Just kidding.
Bye. Thank you.